Actually start today's session. So welcome everyone. And today is our 11th session. So that means Estelle is the sixth presenter in Jeevan Vidya Parichaya English translation. It has been very nice so far to actually listen to all the presenters because it's the presenter makes the book alive, right? And how it appeals to them, and it's a good feedback as well that whether the what we have translated is getting how it is getting across. Yeah. And you guys are actually not new. You are the veterans and you are the pros. And so in that sense, basically you are bringing a lot of perspective as well to to this. And and there is some work that has actually happened after the writing this book, and some of the words I have revised in the part of when I was basically doing the Manav Vyavhar Darshan. So some of the words I have revised. So this book also needs to incorporate those as well, right? That would happen. But I'm actually also learning a lot from this experience as well. It has been very lively and a lot of feedback that I am actually observing from this. So here is welcome, Estelle, and I shared the introduction of Estelle with you. She's from Canada, and in one sense that she has uh, come across Jeevan Vidya and Madhyasth Darshan in a totally uh, from in English, I would say mainly, yeah. So, but it is very heartening that how this darshan actually appeals to her. I would like Estelle you talk about your journey a little before you actually start this session. Thank you and welcome once again.
Thank you. So yeah, I can talk about my journey a little bit before starting. So yeah, my name is Estelle. I grew up in France actually. With my family, I have a younger brother, and with my parents and aunts and uncles all living around in the same small town. And yeah, just to give a bigger context a little bit, France is a pretty atheist country. I think most of the people will consider themselves atheist or non-believers. So I grew up with like no faith really or no religion. So the only belief was you're this body. We don't really know why we're here, but we're here. So let's make the best of it. Let's enjoy basically. So pretty materialistic way of seeing. But in day-to-day life, it might not look very different from what people do. You know, you just enjoy your food and having good time with friends. Like my parents are pretty classic middle class family, so it might not look very different, but the thought behind it is pretty different, I would say, from maybe what you experience in India or even Spencer growing up in like a Christian background. So yeah, that's how I started my journey, and I really lived like that for many years, just trying to find happiness with just enjoyment. And yeah, I think if you would ask me at that time, I felt like my life was pretty good. Of course, there's ups and downs, but you learn that's also part of life. So you just do with it. And if I would compare myself with like other people, friends, or further away, I felt like I'm pretty good. So yeah, I think at that time, if you would ask me, I would say, yeah, I'm pretty happy. My life is good. So it's not like I was, I resonated with Ku when she said I was not really like seeking for much more. There was just a few points, like, yeah, when I started to work, I felt like, oh, what I'm doing is not very useful, like it's not very meaningful. And also later in life, I realized like the big issue of like environment and like the situation of the earth, and that was really not sitting right with me, like that never left. Once I started to become more aware, I felt like, okay, we need to do something about this. But I could not really find any place anywhere, like any solid solution. I was exploring a little bit, in politics, in activism, philosophy, and I found like it doesn't feel like there. It feels like we need something else, but I didn't know what. And I was traveling a bit, and I went to Canada, and there I started to volunteer at Folk Tree Lodge. And from there, like from the outside, I didn't know much about it. It sounded like, oh, it's kind of like, eco living, community living. I was like, oh, that could be interesting. So I went with more this idea in mind, but actually, slowly I got introduced to like Madhyasth Darshan. I didn't do like a proper introductory workshop or something. I was just living with Mahendra and Naomi, their children, and Spencer. And so we would just have conversations. And first I thought, oh, okay, yeah, it's interesting. I'm not sure like where it's leading, but yeah, interesting. So I was for sure listening. And I remember at a certain point, like after I had listened to enough things to like have enough dots to connect. And there was that moment where I really connected the dots, and like that kind of like blew my mind, like, oh my goodness, that's not just another thing, that's like very grand and very special. And like, yeah, like I still remember that feeling that, oh wow, that like that's just the truth, that's just the way we have to live. And like I never was seeking for that. I didn't even think there was a truth. So that was really a blowing mind experience, like a wow, what is this? It's like a very special time, even like the time in history, like all these years have like of humankind history has led to like here, and I'm part of it. It's like, oh wow, that's just pretty incredible. And I think that that feeling still hasn't left me so far, like and since then. And so of course I want to put my sincere effort to like study, practice, and I think one of the biggest thing that it gave me is a hope. Yeah, hope that there's a good way to live, and we can all live well together and save this earth and like have it continue forever. So that's my journey with Madhyasth Darshan so far. Oh, I think you're mute.
You have shared your thoughts, and it's something really, there is honesty in it that shines through. And thank you so much, Estelle. And with both of you, you actually bring something to the to this whole program, right? I mean, you are really shining examples for us, and we wish you really the very best. So please start with the book. Really looking
Yeah,
forward to
thank you. Okay, so I'll start reading from page 128. Second plan is, oh, sorry. Second plan is humanization of education. It provisions education for children. We experimented with this education at a school in Bijnor, UP. It was an experience of 5 years where we observed the effects of humanizing education based on Jeevan Vidya. People say that the environment affects the students, which I kept disagreeing with. If the environment supersedes everything, then how could I have succeeded in my exploration? There is evidence from this school that children affect their families and families affect their environment. The children started identifying themselves as Jeevan and not just body, and they started accepting that living in orderliness is most necessary. As a result, many children started losing interest in television and frivolous chats and could evaluate what they saw on TV and understood its meaninglessness. Moreover, the disputes, fights, ill will among families in that village started disappearing. As per my knowledge now, those villages have fewer incidents of disputes or fighting. I say that the environment from the conduct of children had its impact, and on this basis, I claim that its education has substance. As part of the humanization of education plan, we will impart the study of the conscious aspect along with science. Study of conscious aspect means study of Jeevan and its awakening. We will study composition and decomposition in the physico-chemical world, how it is complementary for humans and how humans can be complementary to and useful for these. Along with this, we will study the activity aspect in alternative philosophy, which is to say that philosophy is for the understanding of human beings. Understanding should be evidence. When we build our identities with understanding only, coexistence is recognized in our relationships, values are fulfilled, and mutual satisfaction results. So in the previous session, Kuhu stopped with the first plan is Jeevan Vidya, where a family can become resolved. And that's what we've been reading about in this book so far. And now is going on with the second plan, which is humanization of education. So, which is for children. So it sounds like Jeevan Vidya is like for the family as a whole, and like also for people like us who have already gone through education and we didn't get Jeevan Vidya. So we have to like catch up and like do it after. But with humanization of education, we want to include Jeevan Vidya in education so children get it from the beginning. And so there was an experiment, and it showed that there's a belief that like, oh, the environment has an impact on us, and kind of like, oh, there's not so much we can do, the environment is too strong. But actually this experiment, and Babaji was disagreeing with that, and this experiment showed that no, actually you can also have an impact on your environment. And so children, after starting to recognize themselves with Jeevan, as Jeevan, they could like even evaluate their environment and have an impact, like a positive impact on their families, and then the families to the bigger environment. So it shows that, yeah, actually there's a scope for like, you know, changing yourself and like your surroundings, and it will have a bigger impact. And so I think it was already mentioned before, part of the humanization of education. So along with science, we need to study the conscious aspect, Jeevan. Nowadays, we're really good at studying all the material things, chemical things, but we don't understand Jeevan at all. And so even without understanding Jeevan, actually, we don't really understand even the material things, because we see chaos and struggle there, where actually there's complementariness. And obviously, we don't understand ourselves. Like we need, so it's very important to include Jeevan and its awakening in the science. And also the activity aspect in the philosophy, which today philosophy could be a little bit more abstract and like just, okay, yeah, words and thoughts, but no, actually philosophy should be practiced. It should be evidenced. So we have to also study that, like what is it going to look like in action? So we need to include that in the philosophy. So I'll continue reading. Orderliness is a perpetual truth in coexistence. It is a perpetual truth in what sense? Each unit in existence is an orderliness with their inherence. For example, oakness is the inherence in an oak tree. A peepal tree maintains its definite conduct with all its fruits, seeds, and leaves exhibiting people's properties, interesting natures, and dharma. In the same way, the conduct of entire units of plant world and animal world is definite, each exhibiting their respective definite conduct. This is orderliness with inherence. The conduct of humans could not become definite until now, because humans could not live in orderliness until now. We humans haven't accomplished orderliness yet, but we have reached the point of feeling that it is needed. We will need to live in orderliness with the inherence of humans to accomplish it. What is the inherence of humans? Inherence in humans is humanness, or human conduct, comprising of values, character, and ethics. The evidence of values is relationships, values, evaluation, and mutual satisfaction, which has to be there in a family. Mutual satisfaction is essential for a family, and more than that is not even needed. This itself is humanness. This will happen when humans spontaneously live with values. The issue of character will need to be addressed for living in orderliness. Character has been recognized as rightfully owned wealth, rightful marital relationship, and kindness in work and behavior. Ethics are the right use and security of resources in the form of body, mind, and wealth, which leads to the fearlessness, trust in human living. This is the description of human conduct in which humans can live nicely with assurance. So here is describing how everything else except humans in existence is living in orderliness. And how do they live in orderliness? They are in orderliness because they have their inherence. But humans haven't found their inherence yet, and he's explaining what is it. It's actually humane conduct. So once we live with human conduct, then we can exhibit also definite conduct and orderliness. And yeah, I really like that sentence where he says mutual satisfaction is essential for a family, and more than that is not even needed. So it's not like there's a endless program there. Basically, justice needs to be there, so we cannot have less than that, but also we don't need more than that. So that's very definite program in the family, and that's what will lead to humanness as a whole. Now we come to the definition of a human being. Human is the one who materializes idea. Humans materialize whatever ideas come to their mind, like building a machine, a house, etc., and live in the hope of mental well-being or happiness. Happiness is the term of humans. Thus, we understand values, character, and ethics. As far as the part of their definition related to materializing ideas is concerned, humans have accomplished that. Materializing of ideas happen in two aspects. One, for basic needs, food, shelter, clothing, and two, for greater needs, telecommunication and transportation. As far as human conduct is concerned, we don't find its evidence anywhere today. It is found neither in education nor in the Constitution. The Constitution has no provision of evaluating humane conduct. Any power-centric constitution would have no provision of evidencing humane conduct, because such a constitution itself is not humane. Humane conduct is just not possible under this constitution. No one could evidence humane conduct based on it. Humans could neither muster courage for such an evaluation, nor could they gather such understanding. Humans will not be able to live with happiness, and they will keep fighting unless and until these deficiencies are filled up. Understanding is the only way out of this messy situation. Humanization of education is the most necessary for this. We will incorporate the study of the conscious aspect, Jeevan, in science, activity aspect of nature in philosophy, sanskar aspect in psychology, human and humaneness aspects in geography and history. In this way, incorporating humanness in education will lead to humans having a natural tendency to live in orderliness and evidence themselves. So here we have the definition of a human being. So human is the one who materializes ideas. So that part is very evident. We have an idea and we put it into action. We build it, whatever comes into our mind. So that is very evident. We're very good at doing that. But the second part, and live in the hope of mental well-being and happiness. So yeah, the hope is there. Everything we do, we hope that we'll get satisfaction, happiness from that. But the evidence is not there anywhere. And so the way we saw, the way to achieve happiness is to live with human conduct, and human conduct is not even described anywhere, either in education or constitution. So of course, it's not lived anywhere. And that's why we really need this education, so we can live in orderliness, live with human conduct, and then experience happiness. And so again, is saying we need to incorporate the study of Jeevan in science, activity in philosophy, sanskar aspect in psychology. We had that discussion when one of the first session when Trishta was presenting, that today psychology is more focused on the problems, And like basically the state we're in now, we're like irregulated and like always agitated, and now we're trying to study that. Actually, psychology should be the study of like a awakened human being with understanding, with sanskar. Yeah, that's the proper way of studying psychology. And we should also include humanness in geography and history. Like especially history right now is mostly including the wars and all the fights and things like that, but we should bring more like humane element, like how that rose and how it's continuing. That would be a more appropriate way of studying history. It is only with our true identity of humanness that we will live with possibility, need, and success of resolution, prosperity, fearlessness, and coexistence. Therefore, education and sanskar becomes complete only with humanness, not by any other way. The sanskars that we talk about at present are based only on our prevalent beliefs. These don't have universality. The third point is the truth. What is the truth? Truth is to understand existence in the form of coexistence. One understands existential orderliness upon understanding truth. Existence is studied only in the form of nature saturated in omnipotence. Humans and the rest of nature are complementary to one another. As one develops the lifestyle according to this understanding, it only results in humane orderliness. Once this is understood, we will only live in justice, we will only live in orderliness, and we will evidence only authenticity in our families and in our behavior. We will not do anything otherwise, like power-centric rule. In this way, we reach the point of complete assurance, trust, and prosperity. At present, it's taught in science that all that exists is basically chaos and uncertainty. Upon studying this, the students start believing that they are also in chaos, and they in turn start spreading chaos. Earth's present condition illustrates this only. Earth's temperature is rising. What is the root cause? The temperature is rising due to the extraction of minerals, coal, and petroleum from insides of Earth. They also know, and we also know, how and why the temperature has risen. Coal and petroleum are the only substances that absorb heat, and once we extracted the heat absorbing substances, it was natural for the temperature of Earth to start rising. This rise in temperature resulted in the rise of sea levels. How much could the sea level rise? The place where we are sitting could have 200 to 300 feet high water. Only a few hilltops may be left out of water. This is how we have become stuck. Many developed nations call out saying, let us together fix this situation. We know very well from history who started it. We extracted coal and petroleum without understanding, which is an assault on Earth. We can test whether Earth could recover only after these assaults stop. How will these stop? We'll talk about it later. Humans survive on Earth from very low to very high temperatures. Human body temperature everywhere remains the same despite so much variation in outside temperature. How does this happen? Body has substances which keep its temperature balanced. In the same way, minerals, coal, and petroleum are the substances which maintain Earth's temperature. So here is saying, yeah, that we cannot live in orderliness without understanding the coexistence. Because in coexistence, there is complementariness. And so far, we haven't understood that. And that's why we are causing damage to the Earth. Because in science, we see chaos and uncertainty. So then we see ourselves like this also, and that's what we spread. And it's very visible today. And so, yeah, there's a few points here. The temperature is rising because, yeah, we're extracting the substances that are supposed to balance the Earth temperature. They're supposed to be inside the Earth, not outside. So the temperature is rising. And because of that, the sea level are also rising, and it could become like a very, very big, like 200 to 300 feet. I don't know where they were standing at that time, but overall, the oceans could, yeah, rise a lot. And developed countries are saying, okay, let's fix it, but actually they're the one who started it, and like without with the same level of awareness of consciousness, we cannot fix a problem. First, we have to elevate our consciousness, and then we can start fixing the problem. Otherwise, we might try to fix it and we might create even more problems. That's usually what happens. So we have to stop these assaults on Earth. The present challenge is, how can we stop the extraction of coal and petroleum? One solution could be to harness the energy from the powerful flow of rivers on the surface of Earth. We can generate 50 times more electricity than our requirement this way. We need to develop efficient turbines for this. Second, there are some machines which only run with oil. For these, we'll need to make engines that run with vegetable oil. There are oil seed vegetation which could be grown in large quantity, I think. Third, solar energy is already in focus. It needs more urgent attention. We need to make more and more machines and industries work with solar energy. In this way, we understand that there is more energy than our requirements available on Earth's surface. We can stop the use of coal and petroleum by replacing them with alternative sources of energy. It is only then we can test whether Earth's capacity to heal from the wounds inflicted by humans so far. So here is giving a few examples of how we could replace, stop using the coal and petroleum. So there's few alternatives, but overall is also pointing out that like there's actually way more energy available than what we need on Earth, which is like very different than what we believe now. Now we believe that like, you know, there's not enough on Earth to sustain us all. And that's why also there's like struggle. But no, it's saying actually 50 more times electricity than our requirement, and yeah, way more energy. Obviously, that includes also knowing our requirements. Like in the beginning of the book is saying like this Earth doesn't have enough resources that could satisfy everyone's lust for comfort and accumulation. So of course, that yeah, there's not enough for comfort and accumulation of everyone, but with understanding, there's for sure more than enough for everyone's actual need. But first, we need to also understand our needs. There's one more sword hanging over our heads. If we analyze the event of formation of water, when it first occurred on Earth, then we will find that this event occurred from Sanyog of cosmic rays. Cosmic rays are the only cause of this event, and subsequently, the continuity of water has become established on Earth. There has been degradation in Earth's environment. It can lead to the possibility of the same cosmic rays affecting in an adverse manner and water disappearing from Earth. Scientists have found all the sources which have caused damage to the environment. Merely finding these sources will not fix the damage. Sorry. Merely finding these sources will not fix the damage. We need to rebuild. Rebuilding requires us to first put a stop to whatever excesses we have been committing with Earth. We read in the newspapers how extraction of fossil fuels, coal, and use of poisonous materials in war has caused immense damage to Earth's shield, in other words, atmosphere. If it is true, then we will have to put a stop to all such activities. It is a great quality of humans that they think of reparation after doing the damage, while this ability is not there in animals. But humans haven't done anything to repair the damage that they have caused to the environment. On the contrary, it is becoming worse by the day. How long can it go on like this? Will we ever do anything to repair the damage that we have inflicted on Earth? So yeah, here is explaining something that like I had no idea about, and it's also a bit scary in a way. Talking about like, yeah, the water and the cosmic rays. So the way what I understood so far is the formation of water happened. So in the development progression in the beginning, Earth is just matter, but there's like more and more atoms coming. And there's, yeah, we talked about it. There's like the hungry atoms and the bloated atoms, and the bloated atoms are like radioactive. And there's a point where there's like enough radioactive elements that they emit cosmic rays. And with this, the water can get formed, and the hydrogen and oxygen can become one and become water. And that's the first, chemical reaction. And so I think science doesn't really know where water came from. So that's already like a big difference there. But yeah, from there we can see today we're actually extracting these things, these radioactive elements. And so if there's too much release, then it could actually happen the opposite way, that the water could split again and there would be no water on Earth. So yeah, it shows like how far the human's destruction can lead. Like it can really dismantle the Earth basically as we know it today. But yeah, so science have found like most of these sources, but not only like knowing what we did doesn't mean we know how to fix it. But it is saying, yeah, it's already good that we want to fix it, like it's a good quality, but we haven't been able to do it. Actually, it's becoming worse and worse. So how are we going to go about this? Earth has kept provisioning for humans to live safely, but humans with all their intelligence rebelled, attacked, and exploited Earth. Humans have been engaged in damaging their environment from the very beginning. The damage increased with the coming of the scientific age. Therefore, we now find ourselves in trouble. If a man is drowning in a river, then there is still a possibility that he may resurface and get saved. It is up to us now whether we want to act on the possibility of saving Earth. Circumstances are created from thoughts. If we want something, then circumstances become favorable for it. And if we don't want something, then circumstances become unfavorable for it. It is because of our own lack of understanding that we erred in the evaluation of reality and importance of our natural environment. As a result, we caused damage to nature and harmed ourselves in many ways. While causing this damage, we have been enjoying ourselves, but we are afraid also of the possibility of getting harmed ourselves. This is the analysis of the past. So, yeah, here again, the Earth is like providing for us, but because of our lack of understanding, we kept on damaging it. And is saying, yeah, it started from the very beginning. And there's that book I was reading, Sapiens, that's like a brief history of human history. And it shows wherever humans started to appear, then like big mammals and big trees started to disappear also. So it's not something new, but of course, with scientific age, it became way faster and way bigger. That like, yeah, now we're in trouble. Like now it's very obvious and like, there we might even reach a point of no going back. But there is still a chance, as he's saying, if someone is drowning, there's still a hope that we can help him. And that comes from thoughts. And he's saying here, I find it very interesting, if we want something, then circumstances become favorable. If we don't, then they become unfavorable. And it might seem today like, we want that, but I think maybe we see want as like something too shallow. Like if we really had the desire, then we would like understand and change. I think, working even on changing our desire is already a big effort. I think in the end today we might think like, yeah, we want that, we want to understand, but maybe actually our real desire today is still like in comfort and accumulation and like just having good feelings. So even that first step, I think, is a big step. I think once you desire it, then you can understand. I think Babaji says that in many places, once you want it, then you can understand. So I think that's already a big step to really like sincerely want it. So that was the analysis of the past. Only when a person becomes ready to live in orderliness with awakened consciousness could Jeevan Vidya be transferred from them to another person. Its evidence has come. We have been able to do this successfully in one school. Looking at the good results here, there is a need for its widespread dissemination. No one commits a wrong act without ignorance. According to me, every human wants good and takes responsibility for good. Hence, sooner or later, humans will feel responsible for universal good. Awakening of Jeevan is only for actualizing this universal good. This discussion about understanding and Jivan's awakening is initiated only with the intent of forming a healthy society and freedom from the traps of comfort accumulation and devotion detachment. The evidencing of both and determination activities of buddhi can happen only when it attains the conception of justice, dharma, and truth. It is when these three are comprehended that buddhi is called sat buddhi, whereby a human accepts responsibility for universal good. It is upon comprehending existence that we become aware of it being eternally present as coexistence, which itself is the object of study. The concept of splitting was arrived at by a mathematical approach. Nuclear fission or splitting of the atom was discovered for making increasingly more powerful nuclear bombs. The purpose of making atomic bombs can be nothing apart from destruction. Apart from destruction, like Hiroshima, the nuclear tests that were carried out again and again have caused more damage to the environment. These acts were carried out by a very few people, but their consequences will be borne by the entire world. This is how common people are harmed by these destructive acts. The mathematical approach reduces the present to an infinitesimal duration, and the present seems to disappear, while the reality is just its opposite. The present is eternal. There is nothing apart from the present. Entire grandeur of existence is eternally present, while the present becomes non-existent by approach of fragmenting. Such a big bundle of lies has been made this way. Now humans will have to have the confidence in their own selves to overcome it. As long as humans derive their confidence from atom bomb, sword, flag, or stone, they will not trust each other. It is a fact. Humans will have confidence in themselves when they understand themselves. In order to understand themselves, every man and woman will need to precisely understand justice, dharma, and truth, which is expression of Jivan. How do we understand justice, dharma, and truth? Justice is understood on the basis of relationships. Dharma is understood on the basis of orderliness. Truth is understood on the basis of existence. Coexistence is always effective as manifestation of coexistence. Apart from humans, entire grandeur of the other three orders is in the form of orderliness only. So, yeah, here is saying again, we only commit these acts of wrong because of our ignorance. If we understand, then we will do good. We will do universal good, like for all and everyone. So the way science has been trying to explore things is more by like breaking down and seeing like going smaller and smaller. And yeah, you can see like at school, if you want to understand the frog, then you're just going to open the frog and like look at the bones and everything. That's how science is trying to understand things. But actually, that's not how you understand. That's not how you can fully understand, because you need a bigger picture. Like in existence, actually, things are complementary to one another. So you cannot just like go smaller and smaller. And actually, by going smaller and smaller, that's how they split the atoms, and that's what is like creating nuclear. And so, of course, he's saying nuclear, we can think of like big events like, yeah, Hiroshima was terrible, but actually even all the tests before that, it's even more damage. And I think, yeah, if we think about what he was mentioning before about the water, like just extracting these things or like creating fission, that's really damaging for the earth. And the same thing is happening when they're trying to understand the present. They just breaking down. It's like, okay, yeah, hour, minutes, seconds. And if you go smaller, then it seems like there's nothing left anymore. Except that's not how you understand present. Present is just eternally there. It's anything that happens is happening in the present. Whatever happened in the past was in the present, and will happen in the future will be in the present, and it's eternal. There's no beginning, there's no end. So yeah, it's the way we try to understand things through science. That's how it's also bringing more chaos and struggle. Whereas when we understand based on coexistence and like eternally active, effective coexistence, then we understand more the complementariness between all the orders. And so we need to understand ourselves like this. And so we need to understand justice, dharma, and truth. Justice based on relationship, dharma on orderliness, and truth on coexistence. Only then we can live in orderliness too, like the other three orders are. Humans too have an inherent thirst to whatever extent of being in orderliness. It is not possible to gain the concept of orderliness by studying the prevalent textbooks of delusion. It is only upon understanding the concept of orderliness and living thereby that humans become capable of abiding by dharma. Human dharma is indeed to live in orderliness. Every entity in existence being in orderliness and participating in orderliness itself is seen as the form of dharma. Dharma of material order is existing, being. Dharma of plant order is growth with existing. Dharma of animal order is hope of living along with growth and existence. Dharma of knowledge orders, human, is continuity of happiness along with hope of living, growth, and existence. Happiness itself is the dharma of humans. How will happiness be achieved? Through resolution. Resolution will be achieved by living in orderliness. Living in orderliness depends on understanding in humans. Understanding in to have conception of existence, Jeevan, and human conduct in buddhi. Conception of orderliness in buddhi naturally results in dedication and determination in orderliness. Humans live in orderliness with this dedication and determination, and by living thus, we can create good conditions. Therefore, we will have to adopt humane education, which will give rise to sat buddhi in humans. There is no other way of saving this earth from complete disaster. We should understand this proposal. It is needed. Circumstances will compel us to understand it if we don't pay heed now. So here is developing a little bit more about dharma and how, yeah, everything is orderly, is living in orderliness in existence based on their dharma. And so material is just existing. Plant order is growing with existing. Animal order is hoping of living or along with growth and existence. And human dharma is all of the previous plus happiness. And how can we achieve happiness with resolution? And so how do we get resolution? By understanding. First, we understand, then based on our understanding, we actually want to live based on our understanding. And then we live in orderliness, and that's resolution. And with resolution, we experience happiness. And that's how we live in orderliness as humans. So that's the only way. We need to include this in our education so we can live with our dharma and live in orderliness and saving the earth. Therefore, abiding by dharma is to live in universal orderliness, an undivided society with evidence of resolution, prosperity, fearlessness, and coexistence. In this way, I have understood humanness to be the universal orderliness of humans. Human race is one, actions are many. Human dharma is one, resolutions are many. Unless humans recognize themselves as one race, how can they do anything good for all humans? Humans can perform many kinds of actions for living with happiness. The meaning of many kinds of actions means performing different works like tailoring, masonry, farming, etc. It is natural for humans to do many kinds of works. Many kinds of work here means production activities. We can accept the oneness of the human race by seeing that objectival whole humans is only one. which is to become happy, to become prosperous, to become resolved, to have fearlessness, and to continuously evidence coexistence. Any plan that we make for satisfying these objectives can only be based on the principle that human race is one, human dharma is one. The path to happiness is called dharma, orderliness. The way orderliness can be evidenced at one place and time upon becoming wise, it can be evidenced at every place and time. This is the beauty of this proposal. May the good prevail. And that's the conclusion for like this book. Then the later section is questions and answer. So here is concluding with the, again, human term. And it's important to realize that human term is one and human race is one. If we see ourselves as different, then how can we do anything good for all? Like we have tendency, we need to recognize ourselves as one. And the way to see that is that our aim, like our purpose is one, which is like resolution, prosperity, fearlessness, and coexistence. That's the same in every human. So the actions might be different, the work will be different, but the purpose is the same, and dharma is the same. When we experience happiness, we'll all experience the same happiness. Now it might look different in action, but within it will, like, once we experience happiness, the true entity, that's the same for everyone. And so that is the way to go forward. And he's saying very nicely the last sentence, the way it can be evidenced at one place and time, it can be evidenced at every place and times. That's what is universal about it. Universal means anytime, any place, it will be the same. And yeah, that is the beauty of this proposal. That's beautifully said. So I will just end on this sentence.
Very
Thank you for
nice, Estelle. This was very, very nicely explained. And in fact, what really brought you to darshan was your search for the pain that you felt in the environment conditions. And the passage that you have read has talked more about that. So it is just a coincidence or sanyog,
So
as
it's
we call it.
matching.
It is kind of matching. So it was very nice. Actually, you also brought our attention to the point that of dharma, which is actually is the central thing that defines all humans. That is, uh, and which we basically have given the name, the word inherence, that there is something inherent in us that wants us to seek happiness. And because humans are the entities of knowledge order, so it doesn't come to us unless we have actually understood it. And we need to exercise our imagination and free will to conclude that this is what it is. And that's when we actually live according to what our inherence is. So this was very well done. And so I will now open the floor for any discussion that you would like to have based on today's session or otherwise. Yes, Sanjana, please.
Yes. Namaste, Chacha ji. Hi,
Namaste.
Estelle. Hi, Spencer. First of all, it was very nice, to hear about your experiences, your thoughts, and your interpretation of these pages and these passages. So, thank you, for explaining all of this so nicely. My question was actually, I have had this question for a long time, and the passages that you read were also very relevant to it. Babaji has talked a lot about climate change, about how, the way we are living our lives, we are ruining the earth, and our extractive sort of lifestyle, and the way we think about extracting minerals and metals and so on from the earth is disturbing the entire environmental balance, which which is basically leading towards a very bad situation. When we actually read statistics on consumption and climate change, what we see is that what we call, the Western world, or the global north, that is where actually in terms of per capita consumption, the most or the highest amounts are happening. In terms of like the overall lifestyle, when we compare the so-called Eastern world to the more developed sort of countries and nations, the carbon footprints, etc., all the numbers are, much significantly higher than what we have in this side of the world. So, on the Babaji also says that everyone has an equal chance to learn and grow and the possibility to become realized. But purely, of course, it's not very mathematical, but purely in terms of lifestyle change at the level of society, do you think that there's a difference between uh, the Eastern world and the Western world? And how would that actually play out when it comes to changing our lifestyles?
Mm. Estelle?
Yeah, I'm not sure I understand your point, but I'm not sure exactly the question, like on what difference.
So let me just try to phrase it.
Yes,
Sanjana, please correct me if I am missing out the point.
yes,
So basically, one of the things that is there is that our tendency is for consuming more and more, right? It is there. And when we look at the statistics, the consumption figures, so to say, then we say that we clearly see that the Western world or the North Hemisphere has been doing more of it, right? Now, in this darshan, it is saying that everyone has the capability to understand, everyone has the same innateness, inherence, and has the need to come to it. But the where we are standing right now and where it would basically go, there is a lot of gap between the two ends, right? So how, in your view, it would actually play out in basically coming to a place where would be we would have some sort of an equity in this
Mhm.
in this sense that we will actually become more harmonious with our living. So right now, if you look at it, the global south or the eastern world largely, that is say, they are kind of racing for increasing their consumption patterns, right? And and also the north is kind of wants to hold on to what they have been basically the lifestyles that have actually been developed over hundreds of years, right? So how does this change that we are talking about would get played out according to you? Has Sanjana, have I captured the idea that you were talking about?
yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll try to answer my best.
Mhm.
So I think, yeah, there's differences today. Like as you're saying, the Western world is consuming way more, and
Mhm.
there's a probably like ideologies reason behind it. But um, how to move forward and how it will play out, I would say, when we start recognizing that actually we're all humans, and as we were saying, our dharma is the same, so we all want happiness. And maybe today it looks different how we look for that. Maybe in the Western world, it's even more consumption, more accumulation. Um, but in the end, if we recognize that's not how we'll get satisfaction, we'll get satisfaction from understanding, complementariness, orderliness, and living according to that. Then it doesn't matter. That's what he's saying at the end. It's like anytime, any place, it will look the same once you become wise. It won't look different if you're in America or in India, because we're all humans and we all have the same dharma and we'll have the same understanding. And so we'll get satisfaction through that. So then, um, I don't know, maybe the way people will get attracted to, like, want to understand might look a little bit different. But I think once we're on the path, and I can see it, let's say with myself, and I was sharing, I come from very Western, no faith, nothing. Once I get introduced to Madhyasth Darshan, then I just want to understanding to understanding. Of course, I might start from a different point than other people. I think everyone start from a different point, but we're all aiming to the same direction. So I think that's what matters. Like the direction is the same, so we will reach the same place. I don't know if that answers your question.
I think, I don't know, for me, I'm also just thinking it's such a broad topic, right? Like there's lots that can be discussed. I'm just thinking that about the West and consumption and I think in the end, like people are afraid that they have to maybe give up something. Maybe in the West, we like to consume and maybe we have the idea that the opposite or that this philosophy is about like renunciation, like the idealistic approach, which can be very scary or unattractive, because you don't want to give up your comforts. It's your source of happiness. You're very used to it, But I think with this approach with Madhyasth Darshan, you're not giving up, you're actually gaining so much more, maybe you have to become, maybe in the end your consumption looks different and is reduced, but what is gained is incomparable, you're talking happiness, peace, contentment, prosperity, all these things where it's all lacking in the material pursuit, and the material pursuit can also become of course, if you have not achieved it, then it appears very attractive, but I think it can become very tiring and draining. And I think you can read countless stories of, wealthy people and anyone who just gets dried up in the whole experience. And so, I mean, I feel like I have only gained, and I know I can't imagine fully what to realize society and the entire thing will look like, but I can say, I lived at Babaji's home for a few weeks, and you find that absolutely nothing is lacking. In fact, there's so much more, than you could ever imagine. So, um, I think east, west, north, south, in the end, we all need to change our understanding and seek the true source of happiness.
It's
But
so
there's many
heartening.
points to talk about.
Heartening to actually listen to you both, and it actually kind of uh, confirms my resolve that this darshan is not just for a people of one particular country or people of one language. And also, we cannot move forward with this with the idea of guilt. We cannot actually move forward with guilt. Okay, so the idea of darshan is not to actually give anybody a sense of guilt, but uh, it is about giving hope. It is about giving solution for moving forward. And we need to also recognize that each one of us can and will begin from the point where they are. They cannot begin from anywhere else, right? And the change is going to be incremental, right? So important thing that we are saying that actually the important thing that we are saying, our focus is in the direction that where we are going. Focus is on our inherent need for happiness and not in specific places in where we are, specific lifestyles that where we are. Like, for example, like I came from a very urban kind of a background and actually met Babaji. And I never, ever felt a sense of guilt eh, that, okay, that this is that I am coming from there. In some ways, I should be guilty about it. No, right? So this is something that is a very important thing. And I think this sense has got communicated to you both that yes, this darshan is not about actually making us feel, it does not really say that what you were actually earlier believing, what you had been doing in the past. No, it is not judging you on that. It is only looking at you that in your need for understanding, and beginning from that point that you are at. So this is wonderful, actually. I was really overjoyed listening to both. Great. Mm.
Yeah, I think it's a great point that you bring about the guilt. And I think like he is explaining like, yeah, because of our lack of understanding, because of delusion, we do these things, but it's not, yeah, pointing out, yeah, the way you say it nicely. And what did I want to bring? I'm missing I'm losing my point. Oh, it
Yeah,
went
so one of
strange.
the things that Babaji once said that, I mean, on the highlighting on the points about the West, that in terms of once you get the idea of that, okay, you have understood the concept, you guys are very good in terms of institutionalizing things. Okay, in terms of making this part of a system, converting it into basically, be it taking into education, taking it into medicine, taking it into this thing. Institutionalization is something that the West has done very well. So he said that one of the thing he used to say that if this thing is understood well in by the West, then the speed of spread of this darshan is going to be so much more faster. Okay, so that is something that was another thing. Second thing is that right now, then I mean the in the popular space in the countries like India, there is still a lot of feeling that okay, we haven't yet achieved material thing. So they still feel that yes, we need to do something. We need to have one car or two cars or a bigger car and okay, need to uh, I mean have that. So the ambitions of that, while to a large extent or to a big part of the Western world, I mean, if we say that they have kind of seen this thing, and he says that, mm, and a number of them have started realizing that doing more of the same is not going to result in more happiness. There is a significant number of people who are started thinking like that. So if they find a solution which actually can result into the universal good, then there is a big likelihood that we will basically um, this will get adopted, this will be understood. Yeah. So, Renu Didi, anything you want to add to this? I think you are on the mute. Okay. I guess we can now move to the next. Anything other question, discussion you might want to have? I'm totally enjoying it.
Sanjana, did you have any other point or response or something you want to bring?
Yeah, actually, I was just curious to, hear from the both of you. Because, I mean, of course, the fact that people from other parts of the world and other nationalities are understanding the darshan and taking to it. Both of you are such a good example of that. Kevin Bhaiya is here. He's such a good example of that. So, definitely there is a propensity, among people who, like we have all seen that when this, when this concept clicks, the transformation is sort of instantaneous, and it's very effective. uh, I'm also very happy to hear your answer that you actually truly believe that when this reaches people who when people start caring about it, they will understand it. So I will also keep thinking about the question, and it was very nice to hear your perspective.
Very nice. Mhm. So in this today's session, we actually completed the book, the part about the main text, and now then after that is the question and answers. The question and answers are also very very substantial ones. There you have uh, questions asked on various aspects of the things, which elaborates these things in so much ways. We have Renu Didi asking some question there. Yeah, I saw a raise of hand there.
Yes, sorry, I'm sitting out in the dark, so not turning my camera on. But
Hmm.
uh, it's not a question again. It's kind of triggered something in me when Estelle, very nicely, of course. I'm quite enjoying what all of you are doing, and it fills me up with awe in a way of at the ability of all of you to be grasping the depth. But in today's thing, what kind of leaped up to me very earlier when you were reading about how we think that the environment influences us, but actually it's we who influence the environment. Now, it seems like it's a simple thing, and yes, it makes sense. And yes, when I talk like this. But when I see living from psychology to analyzing to even working on myself, I notice invariably the path that is taken. It's part of our conditioning is to start from, we were like this as children, or this happened during childhood, or this incident happened, and therefore it comes through the back door very subtly as part of our conversation. That kind of made me pause. That we do need to look at, even when I'm speaking and thinking, can I pause and ask myself, hang on, is my assumption that I am a victim of circumstances? It may not be a very big victim, like, oh my God, I'm really the sorry figure. But in subtleties that we live every day, somewhere I've noticed in conversation, it comes up. I wonder if that's been your experience too. And I hope I'm able to convey what does it reach you what I'm saying? Or would you like me to explain further?
There was just a couple words that I didn't catch, and I don't know if that made it a bit more difficult to get to. Like you're talking about the environment, how you feel like it is affecting you, right?
That's the unconscious belief. It's my assumption. When I'm talking, I talk like this, but in my understanding, I know what you're saying is right, or what Baba said is right. So this knowing that it's right and yet not being aware while our daily life, I'm not talking about big incidents where, let's say there was a car crash and I lose my limb. That is a very in your face, obvious environment impacting me, my body. And then I have a choice uh, to live like, oh my God, look at myself and I can't earn now, or I can't do this. But I'm talking about even subtler incidents of life, very small incidents in life where maybe my husband got upset with me the previous day and my mood is really bad. That is an environment outside that is impacting me. Yes, it's a relationship. Or something happens to my house and I'm so impacted by it. Let's say I'm displaced, there is a flood and I'm displaced. So when it comes to living at that time, when we don't pause and actually take hold of ourselves and say, yes, the environment is coming and saying something, but I can make a choice.
Yeah.
So for me, when you said all this, when you were reading it, it made me pause and I thought, can I become more and more aware of the subtlest of place where I hold the environment to be a trigger as an influence on me? And today's humanity, we are all influenced by this environment, whether it's materialism or it's a assumption about what we have to consume or what we have to wear, or we are influenced by it all the time. To have that kind of awareness and to be to understand that no, I can change. And again, that does come to understanding of the truth. Everything finally boils down to it. In the absence of not understanding properly, we do all that. So Ellie,
Yeah,
I
I
was
think it
just
makes sense.
sharing what triggered, what it triggered in me. Nothing more than that.
Yeah, thank you. I think
And I
now
was
it
also
makes
curious to see whether you have seen something like that in your life too. I was wondering.
Yeah, so thanks for a clarification. Now it makes sense. I think there's maybe like two different ways, like there's two different points. I think like the one he was sharing about the school and the student that like we feel like, oh, only the environment is impacting us. Like, let's say the bigger environment. I think, yes, of course, there is an impact. I don't think he's saying that there's no impact, but I think he's also saying that it doesn't mean that we're stuck in it, that there's no way we can impact back also. So I think it's not saying, oh, there's no impact at all. Yes, we are born in an environment, so we have conditioning based on that, but also we can, in return, if we decided to change something, it will have an impact also in the environment, so we're not stuck. And I think you're also mentioning now being affected by the things that are happening to us. And I think that for sure today we're fully affected by anything that happens to us. And I think that's kind of the whole process of awakening, that now like the body is like, we're driven by the body, basically. Whatever happened outside, that's how we're driven, like that's how we plan things and live, basically. And the whole point is to kind of like do the inversion in Jeevan, that like now based on your understanding, you want to live and that's how you will experience things. So obviously, yes, it's happening to me all the time. I think that's exactly what being deluded is. It's like you're more driven by your senses input, and that can be, yeah, also in relationships and things like that. In the end, it's more coming from outside, and that's what is affecting me. Once you have understanding and realization, then that's what will regulate all these things, if that makes sense.
Yeah, happens to
Yes,
me all
yes.
the
Yeah.
time.
Thank you for sharing. That was a very good point you put across, that it's not being said that it won't influence, it's not influencing, but that we can have an impact too. I like that point, and thank you for sharing, and so honestly. And I agree with you, Rakesh Bhai, when you say that uh, in the West there is a lot of work that has been done into putting things into systems. There is a dedication and sincerity with which I've seen a lot of people in the West. They are able to do it. It's like an instinct for them to be able to very methodically analyze and put it into systems. And yes, if the Western world understands, I also believe that it's gonna go places. It'll get institutionalized, and which is what is also the need of the time.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
indeed. Basically, the idea is that each unit affects the other, and each unit is the environment for the other. So the environment affecting us, it is only natural. And we are also an environment for others. We are part of the environment for others. So in that sense, we can also affect the others, being the environment for them, right? तो एक बार बाबा जी इस तरह से कहे थे, he said in this way that our acceptances are our environment. See, what we have, the acceptances are our environment. So as our acceptances change, our environment also starts changing, right? So which is actually a very profound thing. I feel that sometimes the environment actually becomes very heavy, and it is something which is, we feel that we are cannot surpass it. But then once we grow ourselves in our understanding, we think we actually start seeing that our environment actually starts becoming more and more supportive, and we start affecting it in a positive way. So very nice,
Very
this
well said.
discussion.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
So, is there anything else that we want to discuss in today's session? Otherwise, we will then close this for today.
All the best, Spencer and Estelle. Anand here. Hi.
Hello, Anand.
Rakesh bhai, sorry, before we leave, how can one get a copy, a soft copy of the book that is being read? I think my hard copy I've misplaced. Is it
I
possible to
will,
get?
yeah, I'll share it I'll send it to you on your WhatsApp. Yeah.
Thank you, Vaya. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Namaste, Anand bhaiya.
नमस्कार राकेश भाई,
Namaste
कैसे हैं आप?
सबको.
So good to see you.
या
Thanks, Estelle. It was lovely. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. And so we will close this session now, and we'll meet again on the in the next one. Today is Saturday, so we'll meet on Wednesday. Yeah.
Sounds
Thank
good.
you. Namaste.
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 thank you.